Apologies for being late. It was a perfect storm of stuff this morning, so you know, reboots and everything. So anyhow, everybody, thank you for attending the awareness group meeting. So for anybody that's watching or recording, the awareness group is charged with helping increase the awareness of DNN across our own and other ecosystems. So there's a lot of different ways that we're trying to focus on doing that. So far, these are the attendees. Most likely this will be it, since unfortunately I had to start the meeting late. Apologies for that. All right, so the agenda. Oh, well, before we do that, there's a new person here. I'm not sure if I'm going to say it right. Is it Paraz? Paraz?
It's Paris.
Paris. Hi, Paris. Thank you for attending. This is Paris's first meeting. If you'd like, why don't you go ahead and give yourself an introduction so everybody knows who you are.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I just joined a minute ago, so I'm quite late as well. Anyway, I've been working on DNN, working with DNN with a few companies before this, and as well as my own company for the past, I think, 9 years now. So, yeah, 2010. So I've got quite some experience with that, and I'd be really glad to contribute.
And what's your company, Paris?
It's Celestial Sites.
Celestial Sites. I've seen you pop up here and there, so I think you're like in the forums and stuff. Every now and then I find your site, and every time I'm like, that sounds familiar, and I go there, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, once in a while I try to keep in touch. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining. Paris is one of about 3 or 4 people that have joined this group over the past 2 weeks. So we've had some renewed energy, and we'll talk about why in just a few moments.
Hey, dude.
All right. Hey, Tracy, how are you?
Good. How's it going? Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. Except for those who aren't happy, and if you're not happy, let's move on. All right. Agenda. So, you know, we're going to review our primary goals, talk about progress. We're going to set goals for next month if we need to, you know, whether they're new goals or updated goals, review long-term goals, and then open forum. One of the things that I set as a goal for last meeting for this year is for people to kind of, as far as homework, is for people to kind of like sit back and have an idea of whether or not we should change or update goals for this upcoming year. So our individual goals, so up and above and beyond what is in our group, you know, one of the things that we ask everybody to do is either champion or co-champion something. So you don't necessarily have to lead something specific, but if you want to help lead something specific, that'd be great. Do at least 2 things a month. So, you know, that's not too much to ask. 2 things a month, no matter how big or large, big or small. And then, you know, one of those things might be helping generate that snowball effect. So there's a lot of people in the ecosystem that may not feel like they know or could know or know how or have the ability to do some of the things we're doing. So, for example, some people may not know that they can blog on the DNN website, or they may not know that it's okay to, you know, send out a tweet about this really cool thing that they did. So whenever you see these cool things happen, encourage people to, you know, toot their own horn, so to speak. And then, of course, keep in constant contact. So that's primarily talking about Slack, but you know, whatever channels we happen to be discussing our various goals in, you know, make sure that we're constantly in contact. So we're about to go into our update section, and just so everybody knows, here's the areas that we are primarily focused on at the moment. And so one of the things is the community dashboard, and we'll talk about that later, but that's just basically a dashboard of charts and graphs and things that is aggregating information from across different pieces of the ecosystem to help us understand if we're doing a good job, bad job, see what the health of the ecosystem is overall. Another thing is a speaker program, so having a way for speakers to find user groups and user groups to find speakers, and speakers to find, you know, potentially find sessions to give, and maybe even user groups to find canned sessions that speakers have donated. User group program, so revival of the user group program, making sure that we have the user group program rebuilt and put out there. So having a way for people to create user groups, manage meetings, and so on. And then, of course, increasing social activity. Hopefully that's a little bit self-explanatory. Increasing blogs, increasing the videos, the number of videos and tutorials out there, increasing the number of training courses, creating a curriculum for schools to use, and increasing the number of new and updated extensions out there, updating the website, and that's actually we're probably going to change the title of that by the time we have the next meeting, but and you'll see why when we get to that update. And then making sure there's more open source themes out there. So, with no further ado, we're going to start to get our updates. And if we can be, since we're at a loss for time, thanks to me mostly, if we can keep these updates as short as possible, because one of the updates is going to take long. With the community dashboard, where are we, Jay?
So I've created a module that, let me close my door. All the kids at home today. So I've created a module that basically ties into Twitter and GitHub and stuff like that to basically pull all these different resources that we want to look for activity from. And I had it kind of working locally, and then I realized that if we roll this out on the public website, that basically we'd just be pulling all of the users that had ever registered on the website, which is probably not what we want because we'd have hundreds of thousands of polls trying to pull these users. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to go back and modify this so that people have to basically opt into the dashboard if they want to be tracked. They just put their name in there and fill out a profile and say, here's my Twitter handle and here's my GitHub account, whatever. So basically opting into it rather than just pulling everybody that's ever registered on DNN software.
Yeah, that's actually really good.
Yeah. And that's now that we've got the .org domain, which I know we're going to cover that in a minute. My plan is to roll it out there, and we'll just kind of test it internally. Since it's not live yet, we can kind of use that as our beta site until we're happy with that working.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great update. So let's transition to the DNN homepage and messaging. So we'll have to give this a different name. So I'll be the first update here, and then I'm going to hand it off to Jay. We had a meeting, I don't know, I guess it's 2-3 weeks at this time, maybe a month ago. I don't know, it's been a bit, with Andy from DNN Software. So, and for those that aren't aware, he's the CEO of DNN Corp. And so we had a meeting with him and discussed our plan with him and how we're going to be moving forward. And so this task is not only to update the DNN website itself, DNNsoftware.com, to make it more aware of, make people more aware of what DNN is and what various flavors there are of it, that there's a community, that there's resources, and so on, and how to get to those, and they're not, hopefully trying to find a way to not bury it all. Our plan is to have a DNNsoftware.org that's community-based, so it's a similar model to what you may have seen with WordPress and Drupal and Braco, and we got to go ahead with that. And so DNNsoftware.org already exists, but we're working on it, so it's not anything that anybody can use yet, and we're going to be transitioning all the community content to there. So one of the things that we need to do is that we need somebody to create a project plan, and Jay has agreed to do that. So that way we know who's going to be doing what, and other people who want to do something, they know what they can do, and we can keep track of movement and make sure that we have a forward progress and it keeps going and we don't lose momentum. On my side, I need to ping Mitch because one of the things that is going to be absolutely 100% necessary, even especially for that. The community dashboard thing is that we need to have a single sign-on between the two sites.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we don't want to have to re-register all those hundreds of thousands of people that have registered on .com.
Yeah, and I believe Mitch already has something that we might be able to use, so I'm going to have to contact him real quick.
Okay.
All right, and so Jay needs to build, well, hold on a second. So DNNsoftware.org lives. Yay.
Yeah, so that's a huge win for us because we've been pushing for that, and so it's going to be kind of a two-pronged effort. One of the things that Andy was concerned about in our meeting was that all of our efforts now would be focused on the .org site, and that the .com site would kind of fall by the wayside. And we need to make sure that we're cognizant of that and that we're addressing those needs, because this doesn't obviously eliminate the need for re-messaging and rebranding the .com site to better address the kind of the why. Why people should use DNN. That's still a very important message that we need to clarify and get out there. So this is definitely a two-pronged effort, bringing up the .com site and kind of rebranding that. And so the focus here is going to be our vision is that the .com site is going to be kind of a sales tool for DNN. It's who uses it, why they use it, that kind of thing. And it's more selling people on using DNN. And it's going to be very narrow and focused and as a sales tool to convince people to use it. And then the .org site will be, how do you use it? So that's where all the technical resources will be, all the wikis and the white papers and the forums and all the technical stuff. So right now, the .com site is this huge kind of conglomeration of resources, and we're going to take a lot of those technical resources off the .com site, move them over to the .org site, and kind of rebrand the .com site into more of a sales tool. But as we're going down this path of building the .org site up, which is probably going to take 6 months at least, we want to make sure that we're not losing focus of we also have to rebrand the .com site and make sure that we're addressing that need as well. So one of the things that we're going to do along those lines is at the DNN Summit we were asked for a kind of a roundtable discussion on getting the community involved in talking about how should DNN sell itself? Who are the primary stakeholders? Who are the primary industries and vertical markets that we should be going after? And how do we rebrand the message to address those markets? And so I think that's going to be a very interesting discussion. And I haven't seen any results from getting that scheduled yet. I know there is a business roundtable that's scheduled for Tuesday. I don't know if that's the primary focus of that or not.
For you, Jay. So there really isn't room to have another roundtable. So what most likely is going to happen is that this is either going to be part of the business roundtable or it's going to be immediately following the business roundtable.
Okay, great. Okay. So we'll plan on Tuesday then. That meeting will happen either during the existing roundtable or immediately after. That's great. And so as far as the .org site goes, we did just get that set up here recently. So I'm going to go in and kind of set up a kind of a skeleton framework for the page structure, the page hierarchy, in terms of wikis and forums, and it's going to be just a skeleton site. And then what our goal is, what we'd like to do is to reach out to the community members. And there are tons of resources of people that are that are out there that have already developed kind of these standalone resources. Like Peter's got the whole code repository thing that all the documentation, and there's all these pieces and parts that are already out there. And we want to go out and approach these people and say, hey, we want to bring all these things together into one resource, one .org resource. And can you be the champion for that area of the website and just kind of lead that effort? So if you're interested in the wikis or if you're interested in the white papers, you want to be the forum moderator or whatever, somebody's going to take charge of that effort and lead that effort. And we'll just kind of be the architect, if you will, just kind of organize everything and get it all nice and looking pretty and working together. And I think it was David said he was going to volunteer a skin. So we'll have a skin for that. Okay, great. So so look for that coming up real soon. We're going to get that structure out there. And once we have kind of a structure with some champions for the different sections, we'll put some timelines on things and get the project schedule put together so we can have an expectation of when things are going to be done.
Yeah, so this effort is part of the reason why our group just grew a little bit. There's several people that are wanting to help with this, and so the more help we have, the faster this can get completed. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if anybody's been watching, but I've already mentioned on here typing while Jay was giving his update. I failed to mention that David Poindexter's already built and deployed a theme on that site. and the page speed is at a 195 right now. Oh, and Clint, good point. Yeah. So we don't want to completely make this public yet because there's not until it's at a point where people can use it. It doesn't really mean much to everybody, and it's just going to be chatter. So we're trying not to be talking about the .org website on Twitter or anything yet. Not until we get to a point to where people can actually click on it and use it. Please, and thank you, David. So yeah, there's the theme is open source, and so if you want to contribute to the theme, there you go. And yeah, so that's probably going to be our biggest update for right now and in the future. And we're going to have to say the DNN.com and .org updates. We'll call it that. All right. Does anybody else have any updates or questions about the effort with this?
This is Jeremy for the .org site. It'd be nice if we had one or more specific channels related to that in the Slack stuff, so we can leave notes and kind of start building some intellectual property and easy to search stuff behind us.
We already have a channel for this. It's hold on, I'm going to get it wrong. It's goals, DNN site message, but we definitely want to. We're already talking about changing the name, so it's more explanatory. So we'll probably call that com and org or something like that.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Anybody else?
On the org site, Will, what modules are going to be used to channel content in there in different forums, if you will, on the org site? I'm assuming we're going to have different sections where people are going to be commenting and providing feedback and all kinds of stuff like that. Were we going to use something like the DNN blog module or Easy DNN News, or any ideas?
So far, the consensus is that we're only going to be using open source extensions, no commercial ones.
Okay.
And I don't see that changing. That's always been like the push, even on the .com site in the past, up until a certain point. So yeah, only open source extensions, and the primary reason behind that is that allows multiple people to help. Like anybody can chip in at any given point in time. If it's commercial, we're kind of stuck. And not that any particular vendor is good or bad. We're just stuck with that vendor and their resources and their timing. When if we need to update something, we can't.
Sure.
And we also don't want to show favoritism in a monetary way.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah, and also I think even beyond that, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I used all the DNN modules as a way to learn DNN. So when I was trying to learn DNN, I would say, well, how did they build this forum module? And I'd pull out the source code and go look at it. So I would like for everything on DNN.org to be open source so that people can say, hey, here's this wiki module. I need that. How did you do that? And they can go use that as a learning tool.
Yeah, cool.
Exactly. Yeah, it's also a great way to showcase what DNN can do without having to invest thousands of dollars necessarily.
Makes sense.
All right.
Yeah, and users don't want to go spending money right away. They want to say, okay, let's try it around here and see how it goes.
Yeah, and I imagine there may be some modules that we need to have written to support specific functionality that we want to do, like the dashboard, for example. So there's people that say, hey, there's a piece of functionality that we want to build for the .org site and it doesn't exist yet. Well, we'll have somebody go build it.
Yeah.
Make it open source.
All right, excellent. Anything else? Oh, also, and to that end, anybody that wants to be part of this effort, just join this channel in Slack. If you don't see it on your list already, you just click on the title channels where it lists the channels that are there already, and that allows you to choose channels that you're not already part of. And so, the more the merrier. That's where all of the conversation and resources are going to be discussed, and it's completely public. So anybody who's not yet in our group and wants to participate in this, just let us know and we'll get you in there. All right. So that was primarily for the recording, obviously. So let's move on so we can get some of this done. We got 22 minutes. Social activities. We still need a champion for this, somebody who's actually pushing this. One of the things that's going to end up maybe changing in the future, this particular goal, is that dashboard feature. This might be something that becomes automated. But between now and then, is there anybody that has a potential update or that wants to be the champion for this?
What does that really mean, Will?
Crickets. So it's an animal that when it's silent, it makes a loud noise.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm guessing that's why you're getting crickets, is because social is such a broad thing. It's like, well, what does that mean to really champion it? And I know your answer is probably going to be it's whatever you want to make it, but just wondering if some clarity there, because you've asked this a lot and nobody's responded, so I'm just wondering.
Well, I mean, it's just a very specific part of marketing, right? Like helping to increase the activity that happens, and one of those is helping to get other people to do their own social activity. Others might be finding ways to maybe automate some of the social activity. Whatever that is, but whoever ends up being the champion is going to help define that, right? So whatever I think it should be doesn't necessarily need to be the only end-all be-all for it. Anybody can come up with any amazing idea for it.
But isn't there like 5 champions just above that?
There's people that have voiced interest in doing that, but it doesn't have an official champion. There's not a single person officially saying I'm leading this.
Okay.
Yeah, because basically every one of these, a champion would say, here's our plan, here's how we're going to get there, here's what we need to do, and the other people would be helping. All right, get into blogs. This kind of has the same thing in terms of needing a champion, kind of. But are there any significant updates? We don't need to list all the blogs that have been posted recently, but are there any significant updates, blogs that we do need to be aware of? Blogs that are upcoming that have significant benefits.
Mitchell posted a year-end review blog that is pretty good.
Yeah, that's actually very good for everybody to know. If you haven't seen it on the DNNsoftware.com website, basically it's a blog post that lets everybody know what we've done over the past year. And it's primarily for the benefit of the folks that may not have their ears to the ground, may not be plugged in the right places to know what has been done. So you might want to use that for fellow community members or clients. It'll help people know that stuff is happening. Anybody else?
I am a bit late posting blog posts about both the core meetings and the DNN meetings we have every week. But I should be posting that this week, like in batch.
Okay. That was the core module meetings, right?
Both the core modules and the tag meetings, agendas.
Oh.
I had to miss one meeting. I got behind a bit, and I was very busy with the Persona Bar project, so it got me behind on other stuff.
Okay. Anybody else with any other things? All right. Somebody's packing. And I don't mean a gun either.
Not packing, actually unpacking. Sorry, I thought that was on.
Alrighty. So videos and tutorials, I need to jump over here real quick because usually Adder said if he can't join a meeting, he says he's done stuff in the chat. Let's see here. No. So no update from Addison this month, but he does have plenty of videos. Addison has been publishing several videos. Some of them are the typical ones. several. Some of them have been the particular ones he always does, and then there's been other ones this month that are helping promote various sessions and speakers for DNN Summit.
Hey, Will, we started a new video series for NV Quick Theme. We've published 3 videos in the last couple of weeks.
That's right, yeah, those are good. I haven't gotten through them all, but yeah. Publishing to on NV. I need NV quick spell. All right. Yeah, so that's really good stuff. So for anybody who's not familiar with NV Quick Theme and what it actually is, you know, those videos are actually very helpful. I know my team's been enjoying them. Anybody else with any notable videos that you want to talk about or video efforts? Oops, I mean, alrighty, moving on. New and update extensions. So John is the primary champion with this, and I don't think he's on today's meeting. No está aquí. So we're going to move on from that. But I think the last we had from him, he was going to be building basically a plan of action for this. Oh, and thanks for saying that, David. Yeah, NV Quick Theme has had a number of updates over the past 2 weeks. So if you haven't updated your NV Quick Theme, feel free to do so. New and updated extensions.
There's a new release of the DNN Documents module, which is mostly one bug fix on some failed upgrade scenario.
Is this from like failed upgrades that are like from an earlier version of Documents module? Because I think I've run into that and had to manually fix it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was some. Trying to remember, I think it was SQL error or something.
Yeah, there's several modules that are kind of like that. The links module has something similar. No, the links module is has a very different issue where it wouldn't delete the old bin files and replace them with it, but it would replace them with the new ones.
That was a problem in Documents too, where it didn't clean up the DLLs.
Yeah.
Also the form and list module, I just noticed. It's what's his name? Stefan Coleman. That published release a bug fix for calendar picker.
Which module was it again?
It's the form and list.
Oh, the good old form and list.
The good old form and list.
Can we get a holla from Clint?
That's his favorite.
Yay!
I used to use that one a lot, as well as the reports module to do crazy things with XML. But anyway.
Yeah, me too.
All right. So moving to curriculum. Lucas, are you here?
Yep, I'm here.
Do you have any update with your local university?
No, sorry, I had a bit of a health issue during December, so I couldn't do much.
Oh, that's not good. Are you doing okay?
Better? I'm a bit better, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, don't die. We need you.
Well, that's a bit forward, but I have to echo her sentiment.
I said I prayed for the same, but I don't know if anybody listened. So.
All right. Official. All right. Training courses. So, Mr. Tracy, you last we talked, you moved DNN Training Academy to a new spot.
Yes. So I anticipate by the end of next week it should be complete.
Oh, yeah.
So, and we should be able to start marketing that. So what I wanted to do, as long as you brought it up, the way that we're currently selling this is the cost of the training program is $24.97. That's $2,500, and it's just one-time payment, one-time fee, get it for life. But I wanted to get some feedback from everyone here on how to get this. How can we make this available to the community at large that may not have $2,500 to spend on a training program?
The best models I've seen for something like that, because I mean, if it's lifetime access, that doesn't sound like a lot of money, right? But if you want somebody to, with a lower budget to be part of that, it's better to have a lower monthly subscription fee. Automated subscription. It's $100 a month or $200 a month, whatever you think is fair. And you want to test your pricing. And with any other product, you want to test starting high and go lower if you need to, instead of starting lower because you can't go higher. That's just impossible. Yep. So yeah, that's what I would suggest is a monthly subscription for people that don't want lifetime access. I wouldn't get rid of lifetime access because I think that's an awesome deal. And especially if it's per person. Right, per seat. I wouldn't do that per company necessarily. Right. But yeah, and then the same thing with subscription, per person, per seat. Monthly fee, whatever you think is good for that. Because then that's going to help you also be able to maintain it over time. Right. You're going to be able to be able to validate adding more content and adding resources to help do that content and so on.
Yep. The other thing that I thought of was the $24.97 as maybe an annual fee, depending on, that would mean that we'd really have to update it on a regular basis with some really good content in order for someone to want to, renew for the next year. So that's also a possibility. So. If anybody else has any other ideas besides what kind of we'll just throw out there, that I'd love to hear it. And the way, again, I think I mentioned this maybe a while ago, a few meetings ago, but for anyone that wants to kind of sell this for their audience, or that some people on the call might already have a captive audience, if you're a DNN vendor or whatever. So if anybody wants to sell this, the DNN training program, I'm glad to give a commission of 25% for anybody that sells the program to their audience. So when somebody does that, so it sounds like that's just going to be straight up access. Do you have any plans or thoughts around the white label as well, or is it just going to be, it is what it is? I haven't thought of a white label at this point. I just thought of basically creating kind of an affiliate program, but I'd be open to that if the opportunity is is big enough there. I guess makes sense.
Hey Tracy, is this program going to be labeled with your company name on it?
Right now it is.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you might be able to sell more of them if there was an official, if it was labeled as a DNN thing, without any kind. I'm just kind of brainstorming here. I'm wondering if you might be interested in licensing it to the nonprofit organization, the DNN group, and you would still get all the same commission from it. You basically would be the owner of it, and we would just license it from you. But that would allow the program to have the DNN logo on it, such that I think you might get better reach with it. People might be more willing to take something that was officially labeled, with the DNN logo on it, or something like that. But you'd still get all the same profit from it, and you could even put on there somewhere that this was written by you and your company or whatever, licensed by or licensed something like that.
Jay, we need to be careful of that because Tracy's not the only person selling support out there, and if we're putting in the .org, now we're favoring a vendor, so we have to be careful.
I know, yeah, no, you're right. I'm wondering if, I don't know. I'm just trying to. It's such a valuable resource, and I would like more people to have access to it. That I think it's something that I don't know.
No, I agree. I agree with that. We have to figure that out. It's not something we're going to be able to make a decision on right now, but I agree with the intent of what you're trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys' feedback. Thanks.
Awesome. So let's move on to themes. I know last month Tracy and his team, they had Blocks Free released. Did you happen to get another one out there?
Not yet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that worked too quickly when you need it. That's why a lot of times.
Oh, Jeremy, we did miss that. So Jeremy just mentioned that Security Analyzer had an update out there. So and that update was not just having applied to it. I believe, if I remember correctly, that update was also to the standalone version that could be installed.
Yes, the standalone version, which was meant for DNN up to 8. Basically, if you install it on a DNN 9 instance, it's going to tell you it's secure because it's not aware of anything after its last update. So right now, if it detects anything above DNN 8, it's going to warn you that it's no longer valid to use the standalone version. Plus, you should uninstall it and use the one provided in the persona bar. Now, all the issues that were open on the old standalone one, I've copied them into the DNN GitHub repository, so those things could be implemented in the new one if needed.
Outstanding. Yeah, it's been something people have been asking about for a while. And sorry to allow somebody to hijack the theme update, Tracy. I just saw the chat pop up. Yeah. So before I interrupted you so rudely, you didn't do yet another theme within the last 4 weeks?
We don't have enough. No, not yet.
Not even answering that.
Come on, son. What have you been doing for a month, man?
I know.
Please talking very loudly. Too many relatives in Orlando, is all I can say.
All right. Speaker program. Joe was previously heading that up. That does need a champion again. There has been kind of a framework decided on it, but that somebody else who wants to be the champion of that can redecide that again at a later time if they'd like. New script program. This is still on my plate. This is all my fault. We'll get back to that later. All right. So we only have a couple more minutes. I want to get to our roundtable. So our goals. I'm going to punt the homework from last month to next month. So you do keep in mind, and let's think about whether or not we want to make adjustments to these goals next month. So feel free to come to the meeting next month with some ideas about that. But right now, our current goal is to have at least 5 articles published on the .com.org website at least. But we also want blogs published in other places. So, Medium, or, if you happen to have it in it, like CMS Critic or CMS Wire or something. We also want and need content in other places. So, that includes your own websites. As many places as we can get DNN content, the better. And then, having at least 8 YouTube videos and tutorials created, we probably doubled that over this last month. So thank you to everybody who's published content. And our quarterly goal is to have one training course out there. Tracy and his team has found out it's not that easy to get something just published out there. But yeah, that's generally our goal. So I need to change that number there. There we go. And 5 new updated open source extensions. I'm going to just go ahead and make an executive decision here. I'm just going to make that an 8.
You might want to change that 8 to a 9 too, 2019.
I know. I was just seeing if you'd notice.
Judging.
Well, if DNN 9.3 is out by then, we can count all the persona bar modules as extensions and we're done.
I don't know about that. That's kind of cheating. But the goal there is not necessarily about things that ship with DNN, but things that don't ship with DNN.
Yeah, I was just kidding.
Yes, right.
Were you really?
All right, so our goals for this upcoming year, I just changed that, so from 28. All right. All right, so our goals for the year, we want to have at least 37 new blog articles. I think we're going to definitely want to change that later, not lady. Same thing with the YouTube or the video tutorials. Training courses, I don't know, maybe we lower that. I don't know, we might want to talk about that. Extensions, I think with the momentum we have, I think we're very safe in like suggesting that we increase that. So something to think about for the next meeting. Yeah, I think so your comment, David, I like quality as well as quantity, but I know it's harder to measure. Quantity is not a bad thing in terms of what we're trying to do, even if some of it does lack quality. If we're only looking for quality, I mean, I'm talking about outside the core product we ship. If we're only looking for quality, people will be afraid to actually build something, right? You know, don't be afraid to, if you're watching this video and you want to do something, and you want to build something, you want to contribute to something, don't think your code or your effort has to be perfect, and especially don't think it has to be perfect before you release it. Put it out there, we'll help, right? Just, you know, work on it, we'll help you. All right, open forum. I'm going to keep my update on there. So while we're still recording, is there anything that anybody wants to discuss in open forum on the recording? We're right at 9:30 or 12:30, depending where you are. And there's other time zones too, I know. Nada? All right. So I'm going to stop recording now. Anybody who's watching this video, thank you for watching. Thank you for participating. It's really great. It'd be really great if you can help us with the .org and .com sites, or any of our other goals as well. So thank you, and we'll hopefully see you at the next meeting. And I'm going to stop recording now.